All right, we will call the meeting of the Angola Investment Fund Account Board to order at 4 o'clock Eastern. I will move to, actually, let's move to roll call first. Isaac, Sandy,
Here.
Maria,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Jerry,
Here.
Kyle,
Here.
and Andy is here. So we have confirmation of a quorum. Please take a look in your packet at the minutes from the January 27th meeting. There would be minutes from the executive session, which the note suffices for that, and then of the public portion of the meeting in your packet. I would entertain a motion, comments, questions, additions to that.
Make a motion to approve.
You have a motion? Maria, I'll second. Now second by Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, motion's carried. All right, you can see the agenda is also in your packet. I did want to add to the old business, the previous conversation, the last meeting as well, the marketing material. There was that to be added as well as old business to this meeting. So an application update, any additions to the policies and procedures in marketing. Does anybody else have anything to add or modify to the agenda at this point? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our first item of old business, and that would be an update on the project terminal application. And Jerry, I believe
Sure.
you might have some update for us.
I have reached out to Jeremy prior to the project terminal's primary spokesperson, and he was out sick Friday. I was going to go see him, and so he emailed me back, and basically he's still sick. So I told him in the email, I basically just wanted to thank him for his patience and understanding as we transition through a new board, and have not heard back from him about that, but I know he is in touch with Isaac and has provided Isaac with the documents needed to get to Ryan, and that is what we need to have happen. So Ryan has all the information so that we can put it on the docket for the March 3rd meeting.
Okay.
And then after that closing date, as far as I understand, and then the check will be cut. Now, Ryan was wondering, since I've never done this before, are closing costs taken out of the loan itself?
It's a good question.
Typically, yes.
Typically, yes. Okay.
So if it's a $10,000 loan and there's $200 in closing costs, the net check would be $9,800.
Okay. Thank you. He wanted to know about that. And he's done it before, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks.
Anyway, I think he's excited to get moving.
Good. Any further discussion on that project, that application? We'll be all excited to get the money to him at this point. All right, thanks, Jerry. Any further updates on policies and procedures of that previous conversation as it relates to policies and procedures from this group? I did want to ask too, just for clarification of the ordinance itself. Was the ordinance ever updated? Did we ever get that ordinance updated?
I believe so.
Okay.
The one that we have here.
I know we were working on, and we had worked on that for probably over like a year and a half to try to get that updated. I just wanted to get confirmation. Actually, it was your question to me earlier, or to yesterday, your question about, board membership and if there were any qualifications or that made me think we probably need to just clarify whether or not and confirm whether the ordinance was ever updated.
Okay.
I know we were working on it, but I'm not sure I saw anything finalized,
Yeah.
but maybe we did.
I thought Isaac, or am I thinking of the policies and procedures?
Well, I know Isaac did the work on the policies and procedures, and I think that, we're probably good to go there because we got those confirmed at the last meeting here. But I know we talked first, or, a couple times, the ordinance need to get updated or the policy and procedure need to get updated and which one would go first. And to go back to that conversation about the ordinance, the ordinance needed to be updated because of Elevate Ventures no longer being involved in this particular body, which then redistributes the seats for the board. So I'm guessing that maybe that's not been officially taken to council at this point in time to update
I don't
and
remember
approve.
it coming before us.
I think we approved it
Out of
centrally here.
Yeah, I think we did out of here. It just probably hasn't gone.
I think you're probably right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get with Retha and Ryan on that.
Okay. Let's see if you need the document,
Yeah.
the most recent document, I can try to dig into my files and find that and then
Okay,
get that to you if needed.
I should probably find it too, so,
Yeah. Okay.
all right?
All right. Last meeting, next item here, the last meeting, we talked about marketing and doing small group work as far as getting some marketing material updated. And I know Isaac and Retha, and then Maria, you were mentioned as part of that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do whatever needs to be done. I think we talked about having a packet of some sort with all the information in it, which would include the ordinance and all these kinds of things that anybody would, if they have any questions. That's the information that I would need to put in there. Also, the direction in which, how we want to market. Do we want to have separate marketing sheets for industry and, whoever's taking, depending on who's applying for the loan? So those are the kind of things that I'd like to know. So we can get some sort of direction in how we want to pursue folks.
So
How does the website get updated today?
The way that it was whenever I was here was the individual who was in charge or whoever knew how to do it could potentially go into there, and if they were directed to change some of the text that needed to be done, they would sign in under the user ID and go ahead and change that text.
That would be Mark probably, wouldn't it? Mark or
Well, it depended. Everyone had a different role
Oh, okay.
depending on what they needed to do and what they technically could do.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's going to change with the new website or not.
I think we're kind of at a loss on this one because I think Isaac and Retha were going to kind of
get the ball.
talk about it and get it
Yeah.
head the right direction.
Yeah. Without them being here. And obviously you haven't been pulled in, so probably if they've started something, it just hasn't been that far yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else as far as old business? The group? Anything for new business?
I have heard of, Isaac mentioned another interested party. But it'd be more on the retail side. It would be the first time we venture into that. So I do know that there's a little interest generated. When we talk marketing, I think one of the things we could do is go to service organizations and mention it, or at least visit some of the factories and towns and get the newspaper. Because I think not too many people read the newspaper, but anymore on a regular basis. If they do, it's online, but somehow to get the word out to the owners of the factories and businesses so that we can hopefully help more people.
Well, there seems to be a lot of connection with the city Facebook page and maybe even the LinkedIn. If they use that more often too. At one point in time, I know they were starting to use that more often. So those are two avenues of social media where they could get a lot of interface with the community.
That's
Where am I sitting? Right here.
Isaac?
Oh, sorry, I'm late.
I think it'd bring any value to maybe do a meeting with some folks such as, economic development, he's already here, but maybe the chamber, get some of these other groups that give back to organizations and just teach them about what we're doing. I feel like that itself is probably lost in the community. Probably, my guess is people probably don't know we exist outside of, if they go talk to Isaac, which he's, a great advocate for what we're trying to do. But there's a lot of people that he probably never touches or talks to, not from his side, but people are just hard to get a hold of these days too.
Council on Tourism, the chamber.
Yeah. And it's even if we spent a few $100 and maybe had like a after hours, if you will, or something like that, where we could present what we're doing, or maybe a lunch and learn or something to that effect, just to teach them about the organization, what we're trying to do, and move the needle.
I mean, I assume the chamber's still doing their lunch and learns.
Yeah.
And the city being, obviously a chamber member would have the ability to do a lunch and learn related to this.
Yeah.
Well, we have one coming up next week, which I'm a part of, as well as Mayor Martin and Commissioner Howard. State of Economic Development, I can mention stuff about
That'd
AIF.
be great.
That'd be great. Yep.
Swick has always volunteered to let us go on and
Yeah.
talk for 5 minutes and then run it every day for a week. I don't know if that has any value or not, but
Mark on the radio.
I don't think you want me on the radio.
No?
I mean, I think that's a valuable opportunity we might as well take advantage of. If we're at the place where we feel confident that we can speak to it, or we get the right person, Isaac behind the microphone, Isaac.
Yep,
We should.
I think we might even want to get that marketing material done first,
I agree.
and then we'll
Right.
present at that time. But I think it's great to do what you're doing,
Yeah.
like mention it.
I'll say that, keep in mind, the marketing that we did up to this point, we only ever had the industrial side.
Mhm.
So at every BRNE that I had that was in specifically the city of Angola's territory, it would get mentioned. Along with the pamphlet that we would hand out and whatnot. Jerry, you've been on a couple of those visits now. These two new programs are brand new.
Yeah.
Out of December's meeting. So I agree with all these efforts. Marketing material would be great to now hand out, but then how do you get that information out?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's probably part of that marketing group that we're talking about.
Right.
Not only like what do we have to change for the literature, but how do we get it marketed at that time?
What's the channel of distribution of
Yeah.
the
And Isaac,
information?
like I said before, I'm happy to help and whatever. I just need direction and to see how we're
Me
gonna
too
do that.
sometimes.
So I mean, getting with Rita
But where's
and
it
talking
at?
about it.
Yeah, just because I'm sick today. So I was wandering around the office not knowing what to do.
Oh, no.
We have a pretty talented team too that could help if there's video that needs to be involved and whatever we do every day. So
Great.
That would be good.
All right. So we'll let that small group out of here start that work, and then, come back and we can develop more then. Anything else on that topic or any other new business items? How about other business? Move on to that. Any other business? Same but different from old and new, something other?
I don't know if it's other or new, maybe a little bit of both. Thankfully, Ryan and I got together and worked out the details of who's supposed to do closing documents and that process. I realize more and more, Kathy probably did a lot more than we realized.
I'm sure.
Which is fine. But I think it's helped with our process. So what I sent out to some of the board members today, I think will be part of the closing of an AIF note. I think there's still some things that need to be worked out. But this one that we approved for Project Terminal, I think will allow us to galvanize what that process is and formalize it a bit.
Do you?
That amortization schedule here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have the previous document that was like the checklist? There was a checklist that was
Yeah, there's
created way back.
That's for the application, but that's not
Okay.
for like,
What we
what
do
happens
after.
after it's approved.
Okay.
And this is where It was funny because I was like, Ryan, you do that. He's like, no, you do that. I'm like, we're missing something here. And
So Kathy did it.
Kathy was doing it.
I assumed Ryan did it.
Now,
Ryan assumed I did it, and here Kathy was doing it. So I think we worked it out. Really, there's a promissory note document that was sent. You saw a copy of that. I can send it out to the rest of the group if you haven't already seen it. There is a estimated amortization schedule that goes with that, and then a loan schedule at the end. That's what gives documentation to Ryan specifically then to be able to ask council for permission to write the check and write the check. Embedded in that, based on our P&Ps, every note takes 1.5% admin fee for closing. So in a case of a $100,000 note, the actual check that's been given will be 98.5 versus 100. 1.5 still stays in the coffer for city's expenses. So he was really looking for that document, which we gave him verbally.
yeah.
That allowed him to stick it with the request for allocation of funds for council so that he could formally write the check. So,
It was a little crazy last week. I will also say that here.
Yep.
Busy.
So that all gets signed, that those documents get signed once
so
it's approved?
that's the
and-
other piece that I want to make sure we at least document or are aware of as a board. So when we're ready, we recommend, doesn't matter the date, we recommend an amount to project A or B or whatever it matter. At that process or at that point, 5 days in advance of council meeting, we have to notify council. It needs to be on the agenda, Ryan in this case. What Ryan will need is a draft promissory note that will be executed at the point of closing, which now I will do, which is fine. That loan schedule, a lot of this stuff is Mark. That loan schedule, which basically tells the term, the amount, the interest rate primarily. An amortization schedule, which shows based on a start date, a closing date, and then the closing date. So in this case, I asked Ryan, okay, so if we go, you guys are March 3rd, Jerry? Is that your
Yes.
next one? So they go on March 3rd. In reality, come March 5th, Ryan has everything ready to go to be able to close. To give a little bit more time, I suggested, how about Friday morning of that week? So essentially 3 to 4 days after council approves it, Ryan's good to have closing.
Will that take place here?
Yes.
So all the documents said that if any council people have to sign anything?
In
they
this
just
case,
do
it's
it?
the clerk and the mayor that
Okay.
signs.
Okay, and they can do it immediately following that council meeting, so,
Well, the closing documents, Ryan can't prepare the check that fast.
right.
It's usually a day or two after council where he's able to cut the check. The check can't be given until closing happens, just like a traditional mortgage note or commercial note. So generally you'd have that person, that business come in, sign away their life. They get the check in hand is the documents that show you've got, some leverage or lien against them, if you will. In our case, we don't, but that's the official, now you owe us for the next 5 years, this payment.
Okay.
And then all payments, if you recall, are ACH. So they're automatically drawn from the account on a set date.
So timing is really crucial around each of the council meetings.
Yes. So that's why in this case, we had to extend it a little bit because of just trying to understand the process and make sure we ironed it out with Ryan. This project's okay with that. Timeline still works good. I asked him just earlier today if March 7th worked, and they said that's fine.
Good.
No, we can't go past that.
Yeah, they're delivering.
Because we wanted to do it for the 18th, which meant he could have closed probably as early as this coming Friday, on the 21st. So,
So I think it highlights a couple of things. Number one, obviously we're learning. Number two, there needs to be some continuity as we change out of these seats and new people come in. We need to have strong documentation on what that looks like to make sure we follow through.
and to be fair, I don't want to be the only one that knows the whole process. And just
Right.
like what Kathy illustrated, she did a lot of it. And I didn't think enough to ask her, hey, who's actually doing that?
Right.
I actually assumed Deb Twitchell before Ryan those two individuals were doing a lot of it. It's fine that they weren't, but I think for a continuance, take and remove all of us or any one of us. We should all
Yeah.
know what that process is.
Agreed.
So a documented step by step would be a good idea for these notebooks that we have for
Yeah.
this, so that everyone
So you
understands.
have the application. There's really no timeline because it's dependent on the applicant.
But it's dependent on the council meeting. So like saying 2
Yeah,
weeks
so
before the
once-
council meeting.
Once a project's presented, meaning it gets to this body and we have some formal recommendation,
Right.
then I think you can apply, well, you know,
This is what happens. after
within
that.
2 weeks, we should be on council's agenda because you
Right.
guys meet twice a month.
Right.
So I think then at that point, yeah, you can put timelines on it. So like I said, I don't know if that's new business or other business. It's business.
It could fall either one because it could be old, it could be new. Yeah.
That
Should have been
that's-
old.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did with the other AIF stuff. We had to time it
Mhm.
very quickly in order to get everybody the money as fast as humanly
Yes.
possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Fun stuff.
one of these
Checklists.
So ideally then, whatever you've got, Isaac, already created, we could put it into a document. I'd be happy to do that too. If you want me to put it into a document to present back to this group as kind of a formal post-approval.
Yeah, we've got the
process.
checklist. I think there's just a process document really that just says, okay, here's the next steps. We just, for lack of a better term, dumb it down to like
Mhm.
follow these steps and you'll reach go and collect $200.
And then ideally, I think of this group, then on a routine basis, maybe it's, I think we did officer, elections in May of last year. Every year in the same month, we have these things that we do that are kind of standing agenda items. And one month we go back and look at that policy and procedure, make sure that's up to date. And then another month we'll pull that document out, this one we're talking about here, so that it's routinely reviewed so it doesn't get out of date as well. And people are aware of it.
I also think that communicating that within the packet as far as dates and how to get them, any applicant understanding the timelines that we're dealing with, so that when they do present, we get, it can be expedited as quickly as possible too.
I'm giving away my secret. I always build in a buffer time to the applicant.
Well, say absolute dates.
Like there's stuff that can happen faster, but
Right.
I try to never, outside of this one, which just it worked out fine. I try to build in some buffer so that in case something should happen, things get crazy, there's something that closes City Hall down. I mean, we can't do anything without the official recommendation from council.
Right,
So I have to really build into that agenda 2 opportunities, hoping we hit the first one. If not, we hit the second.
Yeah, Ryan and I were confused about, because I thought he knew what he needed, would get it out of
We
doc.
both knew what we needed. We just didn't know who was doing it.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, that's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in a matter of 5 minutes this morning, Ryan and I like, okay, I know what I need to do. He knew what he needed to do. Cool. That's why I shut off all those emails. So another piece that we'll add to the book will be a draft of that promissory note. That was at some point provided to us. I don't know if Jim had a chance to look at it. I'm pretty sure he did because it looks like his work. Yeah. But all I'm changing is, in this case, it was Foods Alive. All I'm changing is their terms, names.
Mhm.
I have no power other than drafting it. So, and I'm not the one signing it at the end. I know. That's why I sent it to you in Word.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, but that can be an official document that we add to the AIF digital file too.
That'd be good.
So
All right, that sounds good.
Should we have Kim look at that promissory note again, just to be safe?
it wouldn't hurt. I don't think it would hurt at all. The fact that it was the same document that was signed in 2021, I feel pretty good about. But 2021 feels like eons ago.
It does.
A lot of stuff's changed. So
Are you saying this one because it's been a while, or are you saying everyone that before they're done?
No, just this one, just to make sure the verbiage is
Mhm.
okay and I mean, you'd be surprised what these attorneys will find that you need
Oh, yeah.
change.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, who
I got it.
does, you got that? Okay,
Yeah.
Jerry.
I'll ask Ryan.
Who, what, when?
Well, you both have the document now, so.
It's true.
All right.
Ryan will ask him.
All right, anything else, Isaac, on that?
That's it, sorry.
Anything else from the group? Other business? All right, you'll see reports are also in your packet. We'll move on to reports. There should be two reports here. First would be the overall fund balance and activity. And secondary would be the Foods Alive, which is the one outstanding loan that we have today.
When is that scheduled to be completed?
Yeah, it looked like it was 2031.
Yeah, November.
And it appears they've not missed a payment or anything of that nature.
This was a period of time where interest rate was low enough that we only did 2%.
Yeah.
Find that anywhere anymore. Right, Mark?
If you can, get it.
Cover.
Yep. Any questions, concerns, comments, discussion related to either one of the reports?
Not the reports, but going back to the programs, if we have the appetite as a board to sub-allocate funding out of, what, we have 631 left. But out of that, what portion of that is meant for the mainstream AIF industrial note? What's meant for, what's your ceiling on each of the programs? I don't think we've ever really decided that. We talked about ceiling amounts for the loans, but the fund's not infinite. And we do have the ability to overspend. I don't want to put us into that. So council won't like that. Neither will Ryan. So I think at some point we may want to try to take a look at what we have in our coffers and kind of, okay, call it 400,000 for industrial notes or something like that. Whatever you guys decide or we decide as a group, but have some finite number that is our cap.
I agree with that, but that certainly hasn't been a problem yet.
No, but
Hopefully it is.
yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
it could be, but without a cap, I mean, let's say there's a run on the industrial side, which takes $1,000 notes, and you get 6 of them. You have really no money left for the other program, which I think is the commercial and retail side is equally as important.
Right.
Even though the loan amounts are smaller. So, I mean, we should be able to allocate some funding. I don't know what those ceilings are, but as we decide or discuss them, I think it will become apparent what they should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the future, if we have that problem, Mark, that's a good case to go back to council and say, hey, here's the success we've gained. We would like to have some more money appropriated for these types of programs.
Very doable.
So
Is it safe to say 50% in each category without unanimous approval from the board or?
as far as the ceilings,
Yeah.
I think the industrial side is a lot bigger loans. You might want to structure it more like 66,
Yeah,
which is my opinion, but
yeah, makes sense.
well, there's the 3. There's the grant, the
oh yeah,
forgivable grant program, which
Yeah.
can be even a smaller amount.
sure.
But I would agree with your comment, Kyle. I think the industrial side is still the main focus. Bigger notes will draw that down pretty darn quick.
Mhm.
But then again, we're only dealing with 600,000.
Yeah.
And I like round numbers.
It's going to be good to see the success that we do have on the retail front. See if it can truly add value and
Yeah.
help people out.
Gonna wait and
Might
see
change our
it.
minds.
It might.
So in this, I mean, we could sit there and say, okay, let's say keep it in the hundreds numbers because again, you want to be able to do full notes. So let's say 400 or 500 is for industrial and then the balance is split between the 2 programs with the the grant side being the lowest amount.
Yeah.
So we can do something like that. But we don't have ceilings on them right now. And I don't have a lot of applications on the industrial side, so we don't have to worry about it yet.
Yeah.
Had one, I lost it, which is fine. It worked out best for the business, but
Is this something we want to do today or want to talk more about it or think more about it and come back with a recommendation? I'm kind of hearing what you're
it's up to
saying.
this body. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, I think I'd like to wait and see what kind of interest we are able to generate to see what, if more of one or the other is coming to us, and then we can maybe,
Hate to put something in place when today it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
And grants could be dependent on interest or.
oh, that's true too, yeah.
That's a good
And
point.
it could change every year, depending
Right.
on that, so.
We went for a long time, just didn't change at all.
Yeah.
I'm being hopeful.
Why we had to make a budget change.
According to the report here. Yeah.
The last debit was.
Yeah.
And maybe for retail, we have a ceiling, so just doing a number, like how many per year, and then the rest of it
Yeah.
goes all to industrial.
That's a real good idea.
I think we just need to be aware of it because,
Yeah, right now.
I mean, if down the road we end up giving every single penny to retail and it's that important, that's not a
If it's working.
That's not a bad thing.
You're still getting the interest back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's no harm there.
And if something tells me if this body had a cap and then someone else came in and we felt like it was a good project, we'd probably be talking about how we're going to go around what we said we were going to do and not go around it, but like make an exception to it anyway. So
So we make a flexible policy.
flexible policy. Yeah.
There's probably a risk factor there too, isn't there, Mark? Retail versus industrial,
Yeah, probably.
I think a little bit.
We're talking about algorithms. All right. Any more on that or any other topic? Just as a note, our next meeting is scheduled for April 21st. Should be nice and warm by then. You guys will be bringing back the warm weather from Alabama's coast. please.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, the same. Motion's carried.
So we will have to meet again regarding
He's done as long as you guys